I drove a Jeep most of the time. Sometimes I had a fight.
I think I remember your dad. Good guy, but drank like a fish.
I don't know, but I sure as hell ain't gonna make the same mistake my old man did. I gotta pay off his debts, then get back on my feet and get my own place. I need to make some real money, and punching the clock ain't gonna cut it.
In 1920, Antonio Scaletta married Maria in the rural village of San Martino, Sicily. The couple soon started a family, welcoming their daughter Francesca in 1921. 4 years later, in 1925, their son Vito was born into a life of extreme poverty. The Scalettas struggled to make ends meet in their homeland, facing constant hardship.
My name is Vito Scaletta. I was born in Sicily in 1925. That little guy's me. I'm standing there with my parents and my sister Francesca in front of our old house.
By 1932, when Vito was just 7 years old, Antonio made the difficult decision to uproot the family and seek a better life in America. Their passage to Empire Bay was arranged and effectively sponsored by dock union man Derek Pappalardo, who secured their travel in exchange for Antonio's labor at the docks once they arrived. The family settled in the Hunters Point neighborhood, hoping to finally escape the destitution that had defined their life in Sicily.
I don't really remember too much about the old country, except that we were pretty hard up. And then one day my father decided it was time to move away. Away from Sicily, across the ocean, to start a new life in America.
When the Scaletta family first arrived in Empire Bay, they settled in a cramped apartment in Hunters Point.
Never in my life had I seen anything as fantastic as Empire Bay. It was beautiful. On the other hand, I'd never seen anything filthier, more disgusting than our new shithole of an apartment. The American dream was more like a nightmare.
They didn't stay there long. Before Vito was old enough to remember much, the family moved again, this time to Little Italy, hoping to find a fresh start. But the new neighborhood didn't bring the stability that they hoped for. Poverty clung to them like a shadow. Antonio worked at the docks under Derek Pappalardo, the man who had sponsored their passage from Sicily. But whatever money he brought home disappeared into gambling and drink.
My father started working at the port for the guy who arranged our immigration. It was backbreaking work, and what little money he made mostly went towards booze.
I think I remember your dad. Good guy, but drank like a fish.
Each night he returned more worn down than the last, until the weight of hard labor and bad habits eventually broke him.
He shakes down these hard-up dock workers just like he did my old man.
Vito watched it all, his father's spirits fading, his mother struggling to hold the family together, and quietly vowed he would never end up the same way.
I spent my whole life trying not to make the same mistakes my old man did.
Yet, despite the hardship, America had spared them something darker. Back in Sicily, Mussolini and the fascists had tightened their grip, making life suffocating for families like the Scalettas. In Empire Bay at least, they were free.
Where you from, Henry?
Sicily.
What brought you to the States?
Mussolini. My father was a man of honor. Things got pretty bad for us after Mussolini came into power.
So what happened to your father?
He said he was too old to make the trip. Mussolini had him arrested, and he died in jail. They won't even turn his body over for a proper burial. That's rough.
It was on these streets that Vito met Joe Barbaro. Joe was the loudmouth kid every neighborhood seemed to have. The one who punched first, talked second, and expected everyone else to fall in line. One day Vito challenged him for a place in his little gang. Instead of starting a feud, the moment sparked a friendship. From then on, they were nearly inseparable.
Eventually my parents sent me to school. I had to learn English. I sure as hell wasn't going to do that in a neighborhood full of Italians. That's where I met Joe.
Vito's older sister, Francesca, tried to guide him toward a better path. A shy and quiet girl, she graduated high school with honors and ran the church youth club from the age of 16. She rewarded Vito with candy for doing chores and attending church, hoping to steer him away from the street gangs. Despite her efforts, Vito drifted further into trouble, influenced by Joe. Maria strongly disapproved of their friendship, blaming Joe for leading her son astray. Over the years, the two boys grew into a pair of troublemakers. Vito, the calm thinker, Joe, the reckless spark.
Vito, hurry it up. We ain't got all night.
Over time, Joe and I got to be best friends. And since we were both poor and there wasn't much work around, we started a little business of our own.
They pulled off small-time hustles, always dreaming bigger as they watched the flashy gangsters cruising through the neighborhood in shiny cars and expensive suits. Joe craved the thrill of it all. Vito wanted a way out of the poverty that had trapped his family since Sicily.
I dreamed of money, cars, women, respect, freedom.
I'm sure I can line something up for my oldest friend. The working man's a sucker, that's for damn sure.
You said it.
Vito's father borrowed $2,000, the equivalent of $35,000 today, from loan shark Bruno Levine, promising himself he'd repay. But that chance never came. Tensions at the docks grew worse. Antonio still worked under Derek Pappalardo, unaware that Pappalardo had already decided he was a liability. One night, Derek ordered his henchman, Steve Coyne, to get rid of him. Coyne drowned Antonio and staged it as a drunken accident, leaving the Scaletta family with nothing but grief and a crushing debt they didn't know existed.
That bastard killed your father, Vito!
What?
We seen him take a walk with Steve. And then Steve come back alone, and all wet.
After the funeral, Vito grabbed a drink with Joe and made himself a promise. He wasn't going to end up a nobody like his father.
Come on, Vito, come on. The last drink we had together was right after your romance funeral. Right before you shipped out. You remember.
5 minutes. We're already talking about my deadbeat father. Can we change the subject, please?
In 1943, Vito's criminal activities caught up with him when he was arrested.
Freeze! Police! Stop! Vito, this way! Throw me to bed! Stop! I'm gonna shoot!
Shit.
Okay, you bastard! Spread your legs
Fuck.
and put your hands on the fence.
I'm sorry, Vito.
Well, that one time it didn't work out so good.
Faced with the choice of jail or enlisting in the US Army, he chose the military to avoid prison.
The year was 1943. America was at war. And the army was looking for guys who spoke the language to help with the invasion of Sicily. I was 18, and anything seemed better than jail. Who says you can't go home again?
Assigned to the 504th Parachute Infantry Regiment, Vito was thrown straight into the chaos of World War II, usually behind the wheel of a jeep, but stepping into combat whenever he had no choice.
I drove a jeep most of the time. Sometimes I had a fight.
What? Drive, Vito? The roads are icy. You ain't never drove a car before.
Joe, I was driving almost the whole time I was over there.
Yeah, but this ain't no tank, Vito. This is one of the nicest cars money can buy.
I didn't drive a tank, I drove a jeep.
What the hell's a Jeep?
It's, never mind.
Maria and Francesca discovered the loan Antonio took. The weight of $2,000 hung over them like a storm cloud, adding financial panic to their mourning.
Right before he died, Papa borrowed money. A lot of money from a loan shark, thinking he'd get a better job and pay him back. We found out right after you left for the war.
How much?
$2,000.
What? Shit.
Francesca stepped up, taking a bookkeeping job at Trago Oil Co. to keep the household running, and she and her mother both tried to keep paying the debts. She stayed with her mother, supporting her emotionally and financially while Vito was away, trying to build a better future for them all.
Scaletta. I knew a Scaletta once. But I must say, you're much better at paying back your debts than he was. His poor wife had to do it for him.
On July 11th, 1943, while en route to southern Italy, Vito's plane was hit by flake and crashed. Stranded behind enemy lines and outnumbered, Vito and his squad allied with local resistance fighters to liberate the town of St. Clotilde.
Operation Husky. I was assigned to the 504th Parachute Infantry. On the 11th of July, we were supposed to be dropped over the southern coast of Sicily. but we got hit by flak and had to bail out. Way behind enemy lines. Only 3 of us made it. If it wasn't for the local resistance, we wouldn't have had a chance. So when Mussolini's soldiers came into the town and started rounding everybody up, we decided to return the favor.
During the intense battle, Don Calò, the head of the Sicilian Mafia, who was a real figure by the way, intervened, commanding the Italian soldiers to surrender out of respect for his authority, which they did.
Sapete che potete fidarvi di me. Che ne dite, eh?
Don Calò, the head of the Sicilian mob. An entire garrison of troops surrendered that day. Why? Because he told them to.
His childhood friend Joe Barbaro dove deeper into Empire-based criminal underworld. Leveraging his street smarts and reputation from years of petty crimes, Joe connected with wise guys through his existing criminal contacts. He began taking small jobs for the Clemente crime family, quickly proving his loyalty and reliability to climb the ranks as an associate.
I know guys like him over here, wise guys. You work for them, you're set. You fuck with them, you die.
Nice to see you've been busy.
In 1945, on February 8th, Vito returned home from the war on a 1-month medical leave after being wounded in battle and hospitalized, nearly 2 years after his plane crash and the San Celeste liberation.
A few years later, the Nazis put a bullet in me. I was in the hospital for a bit, then I got a month's leave so I could go home. At least for a little while.
He arrived at Union Station in his US Army dress uniform, proudly displaying his hard-earned medals, the Distinguished Service Cross for heroism during Operation Husky, Purple Heart for combat wounds, World War II Victory Medal, and European, African, Middle Eastern Campaign Medal.
Yeah, any medals?
Yeah, Purple Heart and the DSC.
Whoa, wait, you got a cross? Let me tell you, they don't give those babies out for nothing.
Much to Maria's pride and relief, she tearfully hugged her decorated war hero at the family apartment door, the family sharing a home-cooked meal amid her anxious wait for something good to finally come their way. His safe return brought a glimmer of hope. However, Vito's leave was temporary. He was due back in a month. Joe Barbaro, reuniting with him over drinks at Freddy's bar, learned this and immediately arranged forged discharge papers through forger Giuseppe Palminteri's criminal contacts, ensuring Vito could stay in Empire Bay permanently.
Okay, listen up. It appears that your injury is much more serious than it first appeared, and the doctors say you can't fight no more.
What? Oh, did you just...
Like I said, I know people.
Francesca continued her quiet life at home, praying for her brother's future and supporting the family through her job. Now an adult, Vito was resolute in his ambition to rise above his circumstances. Having witnessed his father's failures and the grinding poverty that defined his upbringing, he was determined to make something of himself at any cost.
I don't know, but I sure as hell ain't gonna make the same mistake my own man did. I gotta pay off his debts, then get back on my feet and get my own place. I need to make some real money, and punching the clock ain't gonna cut it.
His bond with Joe, the brawn of his brains persisted, setting the stage for their continued pursuit of the good life beyond the law.